Well, college football is back in the state of Iowa as the Hawkeyes kicked off the season with a blowout win over Illinois State. Local 5's Jake Brand has more from Iowa City.
It was a tale of two halves in Iowa City. The first half looking like a continuation of the Brian Ferentz-led offense that plagued Iowa for about half of a decade. The second half looked like what Iowa fans are hoping to be an efficient offense under Tim Lester. The first swarm of the year, but no Kirk Ferentz. It's Seth Wallace in charge for game one. First half, Tommy Rittenhouse throwing in the flat, and that is intercepted by Jamari Harris. The first Hawkeye turnover of the season, but it leads to no points. Still in the first quarter, Sebastian Castro rips it out. TJ Hall recovers. Another turnover for the Hawkeye defense in prime scoring position. And then Cade McNamara has Luke Lachey, but underthrows him. Iowa settles for a field goal. Just 7 of 18 for Cade in the first half. The Hawks led by 6 at the break. A different level of execution in the second half. McNamara rolls out and hits the freshman Reese Vanderzee. The first touchdown of the season for Iowa. It's 13-0. Very next drive, McNamara rolling right, throws across the field and drops a dime to Jacob Gill. His first touchdown as a Hawkeye. Cade a perfect 7 of 7 to start the second half. Fourth quarter, McNamara throws it up, jump ball, and Vanderzee goes to get it. Iowa scores on 5 of their first 6 drives in the second half and rolls to a 40-0 victory. A night and day difference after halftime for the offense.
And then the second half is an unbelievable example of complementary football. Just going out there, moving the ball down the field, changing field position, stopping them defensively, using your return game and your punt game to try to control the field position.
Coach Wallace did a great job of really honing playing together, coming out there fast, and I don't know, it was great. It took some time to gel, and I think it's going to turn out to be good for us.
I think moments like these, and I'm really picturing myself having moments like this, is what got me through rehab. I think, having to rehab a second time was very difficult because I was, wondering what I didn't do the first time, and for me to, a lot of that motivation was being able to, what it was like, possibly to go out there as 100% again.
And how about that performance from Reese Vanderzee, the true freshman, with 2 touchdowns in his Hawkeye debut? We'll hear more from the Northwest Iowa product tomorrow on Local 5. From Kinnick Stadium, Jake Brand, Local 5 Sports.
Local 5 Sports Director Raina Garcia joins us in studio to break it all down. Raina?
Larissa, it's one of the most anticipated games of the year in the state of Iowa, and it definitely lived up to the hype today. The last time these two teams faced off in Iowa City in 2022, the Cyclones came away with the win. But would history repeat itself in 2024? Iowa State looking for back-to-back wins at Kinnick Stadium for the first time since the 2012 and 2014 seasons. Now, Iowa got their run game going early, and by that I mean Caleb Johnson got going early. He breaks off a 27-yard touchdown run to put the Hawks in front 7-0 in the first. And Iowa State had a chance to get on the board before the half, but Kyle Conradi misses his first ever collegiate field goal attempt. And the Cyclones go into the half down 13-0. But the ISU offense turned it on there. A touchdown to Jaden Higgins from Rocco Beck puts them on the board, but then Iowa answers. Another Caleb Johnson touchdown will extend their lead to 12. But credit to Rocco Beck in the offense, showing a lot of resolve today. He finds Jalen Knoll over the middle for a 75-yard touchdown to pull ISU within 5 heading into the fourth. But it all came down to this. Iowa State down 2. Conradi for the win. He gets it, a 54-yarder to win the game. And the Cyhawk Trophy is heading back to Ames as Iowa State takes down number 21 Iowa 20-19. Let's send it out to Local 5's Jake Brand in Iowa City for more on all of the post-game reactions from both teams.
I've got to be transparent. I had almost all of my post-game recap written down at halftime. I thought Iowa was going to cruise to their 9th win in the last 11 over Iowa State, but you can throw all of that out the window. The true story is Iowa State's comeback, a 42-yard drive in 27 seconds to set up redshirt freshman Kyle Conradi from 54 out. Conradi had already missed his first ever attempt in the first half, but he was ready for the moment.
It's just really the same thing in my mind. I just got to go out there and perform, really. So,
what is your routine, your mental routine there?
not think. That's it. I mean, just go out there and not think and just do what you do.
I hate to tell you guys, I don't know I can't coach kicking, right? Like, I don't know, if somebody can, I'd love to see them, but like, I can't. But I can at least understand mentality, and I can understand the ability. It's you have to have an elite craft, and that's what Kyle's showing.
Iowa had their chances. First and goal at the 1 and first and goal at the 3, but came away with just 2 field goals. In the second half, Iowa State's D-line stepped up, and a rocky Cade McNamara stunted the Iowa offense, letting ISU back into the game.
We got to use the 24-hour rule right now. We have to be able to, move on from this come tomorrow, but until then, this one's going to sting.
It's important for our guys to understand. I think we have a good football team here. We have good leadership, good coaching staff, and, win, lose, or draw, you got to move forward and respond. So this one's going to hurt for a while, but we'll move forward and learn from it tomorrow.
With that win, Iowa State now owns 4 wins in their last 6 tries at this very stadium. We'll continue to break down the thriller from Iowa City tomorrow night on Local 5. From Kinnick Stadium, Jake Brand, Local 5 Sports.
The Iowa Hawkeyes had one final tune-up before Big Ten play as they welcome Troy into Iowa City this afternoon. Iowa coming off of a heartbreaking loss in the Cyhawk game, leading by a field goal in the second quarter. A low punt from Reese Dakin is fielded by Devontae Ross, and he turns the corner and goes 77 yards completely untouched. And Troy takes a 14-10 halftime lead. Ross had 219 all-purpose yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, Iowa comes out strong in the third quarter. Brendan Sullivan enters the game for a red zone package and flips it to Addison Ostrenga. Sullivan's first pass attempt as a Hawkeye puts Iowa up 17-14. 3-point lead in the fourth. Caleb Johnson bursts through the hole at 178 yards for the junior as he becomes the nation's leader in rushing. And the Hawkeyes are able to pull away and win 38-21. Local 5's Jake Brin has more from Iowa City on how the team felt about their performance today.
Iowa walks away from Kinnick Stadium with a win that was a lot less comfortable than probably expected. The score might not necessarily indicate that, but Iowa trailed at halftime and held just a 3-point lead entering the fourth quarter. Luckily for the Hawkeyes, they had Caleb Johnson. Troy didn't. That was the difference. But how was this a game in the fourth quarter? Well, Iowa gave up 3 big scoring plays, a 77-yard punt return, a 62-yard reception, and another 63-yard reception, all plays by Devontae Ross. Certainly uncharacteristic in 2 phases of the game for this program.
We're known for not giving up big plays, and we're known for not doing that on special teams, but that's, all you can believe is what you see. So we're going to have to get that addressed real quickly because it's going to be hard to win games moving forward doing that.
Still, Iowa tightens up in the fourth quarter and walks away unharmed.
For us, we just had to collect ourselves in the locker room and go out there and, do the same things that we were doing in the first half, just a little bit better, just executing a little bit more each and every time. So, really proud of the guys, the whole team. We all stepped up, a lot of plays on defense, special teams, offense as well. So, really a great team win out there.
The Hawkeyes end non-conference play 2-1 and not without question marks. They'll have that to answer as Big Ten season starts next week with a rivalry game. The Hawkeyes will play Minnesota for the Floyd of Rosedale Trophy in Minneapolis. From Kinnick Stadium, Jake Brand, Local 5 Sports.
Well, over in the Big Ten, Iowa on the road this evening, taking on Minnesota, trying to get Floyd of Rosedale back in their possession. The Iowa defense getting the party started. Max Brosmer tries to get it to Darius Taylor, but it's Jake Higgins who comes up with the interception. The Hawks going with a heavy dose of Caleb Johnson in this game. The nation's leading rusher, breaking tackles, making guys miss. He just does it all. Almost a touchdown, but he steps out at the 1. No worries, though. Just give it right back to him. Johnson bulldozes his way into the end zone, one of 3 touchdowns on the night for him, and the Hawkeyes jump out to a 7-0 lead. Under 4.5 to go in the second quarter, Brosmer finds Jamison Gears in the back of the end zone. The Gophers tie the game at 7. The Hawks are able to rally back from a 7-point deficit at the half to beat Minnesota 31-14. And Floyd of Rosedale's coming back to Iowa City.
It's been 2 seasons since Iowa scored a point against a ranked opponent. The Hawkeyes put up 10 in a 44-point loss to Ohio State in October of 2022. The question, have they bridged that gap? The Horseshoe in Columbus, one of the greatest venues in the sport. It was a strong start for the Buckeyes. Will Howard connects with Emeka Egbuka. Touchdown, Ohio State, 7-0. But the Hawkeye defense doing all it could to keep them in this game. Howard takes the hit. Sebastian Castro picks it off. This game was just 7-0 at the break, but Ohio State comes out strong. What a catch by Jeremiah Smith. He's just a freshman doing that on the biggest stage. That puts the Buckeyes up 14-0. And then first play of the next possession, Cade McNamara hit, fumble. Ohio State recovers, one of 3 turnovers for the grad senior, and then Bucky capitalizes. Iowa does score to end the streak, but it's a rout in Columbus.
You know, this is probably the best team that we've played this season thus far. So, you know, they're an outstanding opponent. You got to keep that in mind. Our focus, my focus, is mostly on how we play, how we perform, and how we push forward. And then the most important thing, single most important thing as we leave for today is what we're going to do moving forward tomorrow. Because if we're looking backwards too long, it's not going to help us next Saturday.
Iowa's drought of a win over a ranked opponent dates back to October of 2021.
Well, it has been almost 30 years since Iowa and Big Ten newcomer Washington have faced off in football. The last time they played was in the 1995 Sun Bowl, and Iowa won that game by 20 points. Now in 2024, the Hawkeyes and Huskies meet again, this time as conference opponents. Iowa fresh off a loss to Ohio State. Washington just beat Michigan. A heavy dose of Caleb Johnson early here. He runs in a 6-yard score on Iowa's second drive to put the Hawkeyes up 7-0. The Hawkeyes blocked a field goal on their first drive, but Washington gets in on their second drive. Will Rogers to Denzel Boston. The 5-yard TD knots this up at 7. Hawkeyes up 3 in the second quarter. It's Cade McNamara who completes the screen pass to, guess who, Caleb Johnson. That's another touchdown, Iowa. That was McNamara's first passing touchdown against a Power 4 opponent as a Hawkeye. And Iowa goes up 10. First play of the fourth quarter, Iowa up 13. Johnson punches it in again. Iowa dominates the Huskies with complimentary football, 40-16. Local 5's Jake Brand has more from Iowa City on what led to today's impressive performance from the Hawkeyes.
The Iowa defense and special teams looked a lot more like the units that we've grown accustomed to seeing over the past few seasons in Iowa City. Before the game was decided, Washington had 4 trips inside the 25. Iowa held the Huskies to just 10 points in those situations. As the defense and special teams rose to the occasion, the offense had their best output in Big Ten play since 2021. The difference compared to most of the last few seasons was more creative play calling, improved offensive line play, and of course, Caleb Johnson. The nation's second leading rusher ends up with 166 yards and 3 touchdowns on a patient, dominant, and explosive day. Washington knew it was coming and couldn't stop it.
I took that in consideration. I'm like, yeah, they're going to be killing me, so I'm going to, just continue to run down their throats and show what I can do. So I did this game, so.
It's a great feeling, when they know what's coming, they still can't stop it. That's when you got somebody on their on the rails, for the end of the game.
He's done some good things over the last couple of years, but the consistency right now, and not only what you see on the game field, but the way he prepares, the way he practices, he's doing a really good job.
Cade McNamara called this game the most important of Iowa's season. The win comes up big. It gets the Hawkeyes to 2-1 in Big Ten play, and maybe more importantly, it gets Kirk Ferentz win number 200 as the head coach at Iowa. From Kinnick Stadium, Jake Brand, Local 5 Sports. Up to East Lansing, where the Iowa Hawkeyes are coming off of their best offensive output against a Big Ten team in over 3 years. How do they follow it up away from home? The Hawkeyes playing at Michigan State for the first time since 2017. Michigan State gets on the board first. Jonathan Kim knocks in one of his 4 first-half field goals to put Sparty up 3-0. The Hawkeye offense struggled early. Cade McNamara throws behind Reese Vanderzee on third down. Drew Stevens would come in and miss the field goal. Michigan State led 12-0 at half. What a response by Iowa. McNamara this time does find Vanderzee. 12-7 game. Hawks still down. Brendan Sullivan scores his first rushing TD as a Hawkeye. 19-14 the score. The defense gives up another field goal. Down 11, and hello, Caleb Johnson. 75 yards. He was held in check most of the night. Not on that play, but Iowa would miss the 2-point conversion, and Michigan State scores the dagger. Iowa falls on the road 32-20. We'll hear more from the team tomorrow as they fall to 2-2 in Big Ten play.
It was homecoming for the Hawkeyes this afternoon as they welcomed Northwestern to town. The former Wildcat Brendan Sullivan going up against his old team. And speaking of former teammates, Caitlin Clark back in Iowa City for today's game. We'll join this one in the second quarter. Hawks up 3. Jack Lausch with an ill-advised throw over the middle. It's picked off by Quinn Schulte, setting the Hawks up with great field position. But that excitement was pretty short-lived. Cade McNamara gives it right back. This one is intercepted by Theron Johnson, and he takes it all the way back for a pick 6 to give Northwestern the lead. We had to fast forward his return a little bit in case you were wondering, but Brendan Sullivan would replace McNamara after that play. The Iowa defense continued to shine, though. Max Llewellyn gets to the quarterback and comes away with the safety, and that really helped turn the tide for the Hawkeyes. Just before the half, big play, KJ strikes again. Caleb Johnson makes a guy miss, spins out of a tackle, and finishes with a stiff arm into the end zone. He had 3 touchdowns on the day, and Iowa heads into the half with a 12-7 lead. And this game was all Hawkeyes for the rest of the way. Opening drive of the third, Sullivan on the keeper gets in for the touchdown, and he was pretty pumped after that one, as were his teammates. The Hawks were able to score in all 3 phases today: offense, defense, and now special teams. Caden Weegan on the punt return, and he is going to take this one 85 yards to the house. And Iowa steamrolls Northwestern 40-14, making for a very happy homecoming. Local 5's Jake Brand has more on the Hawkeyes' big win from Iowa City.
Hawkeye fans got what they wanted. Brendan Sullivan. Kirk Ferentz said that the plan all week was to rotate quarterbacks, telling us after the game that Cade McNamara was shaken up. Well, after McNamara's second quarter pick 6, Sullivan got the reins against his former team. Mason Richmond called Sullivan a spark. After he entered the game, Iowa scored 37 straight points. Sullivan was efficient through the air, completing 64% of his passes for 79 yards, but maybe more importantly, he was dynamic on the ground with 8 carries for 41 yards and a touchdown. Sullivan helped open up the Hawkeye offense.
Just having that extra element to be able to scramble, I think, especially in that 2-minute drill at the end of the half. Just being able to do that, add that to the team when things aren't going necessarily how we want them to go, and so I think that's what.
So that's one of Brendan's strengths. He's a really good athlete and really good at that. And then, the other thing is he commanded the game, which is, no matter what your style is as a quarterback, you have to do that.
I think he just did a great job stepping up and, being prepared for that moment. And, he's been working his tail off all year, and especially against this team, it's really special for him.
How's this for a stat? With Cade McNamara in the game, Caleb Johnson had 5 carries for just 2 yards. With Sullivan in the game, Johnson ran 9 times for 107 yards, and of course, 3 scores. Iowa is back in the win column at 5-3 as they welcome Wisconsin into Iowa City next week. Who will be the starting quarterback? According to Kirk Ferentz, we'll have to wait and find out. From Kinnick Stadium, Jake Brand, Local 5 Sports.
Well, over in Iowa City, the Hawkeyes rolled over Wisconsin to win the Heartland Trophy for the 3rd consecutive season, beating the Badgers 42-10. It's yet another offensive explosion by the Hawkeyes, rushing for over 300 yards, led by their star Caleb Johnson. The junior running back tacked on 3 more touchdowns and another 100-yard performance. And the Hawkeye defense shut Wisconsin down and forced 2 turnovers in the blowout. And you can tune into Local 5 on Sunday for more reaction from the Hawkeye victory.
Well, last night, the Iowa Hawkeyes traveled out west for the first time in over a decade to take on Big Ten newcomer UCLA. The defense going to work early in this one. Ethan Garbers gets picked off by Zach Lutmer, and that's going to set up the offense in Bruin territory. Now it's 1st and goal for the Hawkeyes. They give it to Caleb Johnson. He powers his way across the goal line for his 21st touchdown of the season, and that's a new single-season program record. Tied at 10 in the second quarter, Garber finds Logan Loya for the 29-yard touchdown to take the lead heading into halftime. On to the fourth quarter we go. Jackson Stratton in for the injured Brendan Sullivan. He hands it off to Kamari Moulton. He gets in for the 1-yard score, and the Hawks tied the game. But with just under 5 minutes left, UCLA knocks through a 27-yard field goal, and the Bruins hang on to get the win over Iowa 20-17.
Disappointing outcome for us. Just got done telling the team basically, one thing about football, you typically get what you deserve. And we certainly didn't play well enough to expect to win tonight, basically in any category. So disappointing. Just nothing really clicked for us. Nothing really looked great. And, so we'll turn the page, and really all we can worry about right now is the next 2 games.
Iowa will head into their final bye week of the season, and after that, they'll hit the road to face Maryland in their penultimate game of the regular season. Larissa?
The Hawkeyes injury report has them down to a 4th-string quarterback in Jackson Stratton. The Colorado State transfer makes his first start for Iowa over in Maryland. It's a little easier to make a first start when you've got Caleb Johnson, and that's exactly where he goes early. Johnson puts the Hawks up 10-0. Johnson, 164 yards on the day. Third quarter, Drew Stevens, the kicker, puts Iowa up 16-0 on a 50-yarder. He was perfect, 5 for 5. But Maryland makes a run. MJ Morris to Ty Felton. A lot of green makes it 19-13 Iowa. How do the Hawks respond? By running the ball. Kamari Moulton, untouched, 68 yards. What a display by the O-line. An impressive showing on the road for Iowa, taking down Maryland.
Coming in, we want to, be able to run the football. That's what we do best, and try to minimize throwing, but also try to maximize the clock if we could, and shorten the game a little bit that way. So that part way it works out, but if you're not playing defense, it doesn't matter. And if you get behind, you can't do that. So the defense really did their part. They held serve, if you will, and really. I think it was a shutout at halftime, right? So that's a good thing.
Iowa completely dominated time of possession. They had the ball for 15 more minutes than Maryland did.
In one of the coldest games played at Kinnick Stadium, the Iowa Hawkeyes welcomed Nebraska to town with the Heroes Trophy on the line. Iowa trying to finish the regular season out with a win on senior night. We'll start in the first quarter. The Iowa defense holds Nebraska to a field goal after a long drive. John Cole knocks through the 31-yarder. And as the Iowa offense struggled, Ethan Hurkett kept the Hawks close. The senior gets to Dylan Raiola for the 2nd time in this game. At the end of the first half, Nebraska at the 1-yard line, knocking on the door. Dante Dowdle hops over the line and puts the Huskers up 10-0. But let's move to the fourth quarter. Iowa down 7. Jackson Stratton dumps it off to Caleb Johnson. He takes care of the rest here. 72 yards to the house, and he was having a quiet night before, but showed up when it mattered most. Iowa ties it up at 10 after the extra point. But here's where it gets interesting. Less than 30 seconds left in the game. The Urbandale native Max Llewellyn comes up with a strip sack to set Iowa up at the Nebraska 36-yard line. Drew Stevens trying to knock through the 53-yard field goal for the win. He's got it. The Hawkeyes win. They defeat Nebraska 13-10 to retain possession of the Heroes Trophy.
Well, both Iowa and Iowa State fans are already starting to plan out those trips for the bowl games. So our very own Megan McPherson is live in studio this morning with what the fans need to know as you got to get out there. You got to make those travel plans right now. Megan, we know that the flight prices, they're already starting to go up, right?
Yeah, they are, Joseph. And let me tell you, there's a lot of information to cover here, so buckle up and bear with me. So for Iowa State fans looking to head to Orlando, you can see that the flight prices here, if we take a look on Expedia, they're already starting to go up. Okay, that game is on December 28th. You can see the days leading up to it. This is a round trip ticket, about $600 in that range. So if you want to go, be prepared to pay the price. And the same deal for Iowa fans that might be looking to travel to Nashville. You can see that game, which is on Monday, December 30th, same thing in the $500 to $600 range in the days leading up to the game. Now, with those hefty flight prices, Iowa fans, you might opt to road trip down to Nashville instead. It's about a 10-hour drive. And some good news, AAA shows that the gas prices in Iowa right now, they are below average. The average today, just over $3. The current average here in Iowa, about $2.67. And you can see a range there of the different gas prices in Iowa. It looks like especially in the northeastern part of the state, gas prices are looking pretty cheap right now. Now, of course, if you'll be traveling to the game, you will need a place to stay. So in Nashville, you'll want to book this early because hotels will fill up. The day after the game is New Year's Eve, so it's going to be a busy time there, but there are plenty of affordable options. You can see that there's a lot of different price points. And of course, keep in mind that you want to be close to the stadium or plan to have a way to get there. Maybe you're renting a car or taking an Uber. Now, same thing in Orlando. Hotel prices are actually a little bit cheaper than Nashville, but also just keep in mind this game is on a Saturday. You'll want to be close to Camping World Stadium. That's where the game is. Again, plan to take an Uber down there, be in walking distance, or rent a car. Okay, finally, let's talk ticket prices. On Ticketmaster, you can see that over here, we're looking at the Music City Bowl. Cheapest ticket right now, about $32.20. I think that's pretty good, but obviously you're going to pay to get there as well. The closer you are to the field, the more expensive that it is. And then when we look at the Pop-Tarts Bowl, a little more expensive. Cheapest ticket is about $63. So again, you're going to have quite a few costs if you want to get to these games. You can travel, you can fly. I know a lot of fans, though, they're loyal and they will do it. No matter which game you'll be traveling to, guys, these are some great bowl game destinations.